Welcome back to Make It Modern, part 2 of our laundry room makeover. Today we're going to be doing an accent wall, we're going to be building a shelf, and doing some door stuff. If you liked the last video, or you're new here, stay tuned for more.
Did you notice that there was no audio?
Huh? So apparently we didn't have audio. We lost it all. We are new to YouTube. But basically we did pull out the washer and the dryer, and now we're going to go in and clad around the faucets. We did look for a piece of that thing at Lowe's, but they looked at us like we were crazy. So David and I just decided to go in and spray paint it. So here you can see David getting his workout, shaking the spray paint can, and basically we're just going in and giving it a fresh clean coat of spray paint. Next we went in and we decided to sponge paint the back wall rather than doing tile, just because it was a little bit more budget friendly. I'd love to tell you what paint color we got. I mentioned it in the audio, but unfortunately we did lose our audio. So basically we got a $4 sample from Lowe's and a $3 sponge, and went in and just plopped some random sponge marks on there to kind of mimic an organic tile look.
Yeah, and it was really cool. We used this laser level, that way we could have an idea of where the rows were going to start. We had just the right amount of space from the bottom row right to the edge of the shelf. So you could see Hannah there being very careful not to get any paint on that shelf, and it turned out awesome. And right here, my OCD was absolutely blown through the roof. She put it in the middle. And anybody else that has OCD, sound off in the comments if this triggers you half as much as it did me. But you can see by the time that she started adding more, it kind of blended in a little bit better.
Yeah, it's kind of like Tom Cruise's tooth.
Right in the middle. And as you can see, this turned out amazing. The sponge really added a good texture that we feel like we probably were trying to get with the tile, but sponge, great cheap way to do it.
$7.
Here we're putting that cover back on. We just spray painted it white. Just push the screws right on in. The old homeowners, that's all they did. Really, looking back on it now, we probably should have put some drywall anchors in there rather than just pressing it on. To make it a little bit more permanent, we did use some adhesive. But hey, it's permanent. It's not going to fall off.
I mean, how often are we trying to change this?
Not that
Not
often.
often.
And so the curtain rod did need to be cut down. The good thing is that it's made out of aluminum, so you can take it to any of your wood cutting saws and it'll work just fine. You can see here that we're placing the rod just behind that door sill, that way it is out of sight. Over here we do have design in mind, but we also do want some functionality as well. So we put our clothes hanger nice and up high rather than right in the middle. So if you saw our last video, you saw it was just a hole in the wall. And you can see here in this shot that you can't even really see it. So it'll be even more hidden when we get those doors back on, but right there we can still hang our clothes when they are drying, and it looks great. And we're just putting the washer and dryer back in since we are done, and you'll notice that we didn't do the accent wall all the way down because why?
But as you can see, there's a little bit of dead space going on. So what do we do with dead space?
We fill it. For this, we are going to be doing a miter cut. So just like in the last video when we made the shelf, we don't want to see any visible ply edges. So I actually just went to Lowe's and picked up a brand new 80 tooth saw blade. So these are recommended for fine woodworking, for cross cutting. Another way to kind of save the grain is to put some painter's tape that will hold down the wood grain so you don't get any really bad tear out.
Did want it to match our shelf too, so I will say that we did do the entire shelf and the dead space paneling with just one sheet of plywood, and we still have quite a bit left that we could do maybe a small box with.
How many projects are you trying to get me to do?
Like a tissue box.
The floating shelf and the little compartment on the side was made from one sheet of plywood. About $93 is what we paid for it.
What are you paying for plywood, by the way? Link that in the comments.
And so we needed something to hold the ironing board, and you can see here our solution was very simple. We got some leftover doorknobs. These are actually the doorknobs that we took off of the old door. And the idea is the board's just gonna fall through, and really the T is just gonna catch it. Yes. So it's very simple. We also put a brace on the bottom, that way it lifted it up off of the floor.
And I had a very specific option in mind for this cubby hole here.
All right, so Hannah's working on the shelf for the, what is that? What are you doing?
I'm measuring to make sure that we have enough room for our lint bin. See?
So it's pretty much all done. All we have to do is just create a pool hole. I don't want to have any handles because I want this to look as seamless as possible. But we do need a way to take the top off because obviously once this is in, we're not going to be able to reach over to the sides and pull it up. Just to help me make sure that it's a nice 90-degree hole, I have this Mills Craft drill press, I guess. So this will just help me get it nice and 90 degrees. So we'll go ahead and get that done right now. And here we are, the moment of truth. Time to see if my measurements were actually correct. Time to get it set in place and put the washer and dryer back in and see if it works. So fingers crossed.
And it fit perfectly. Super happy with how it turned out. We got our secret compartment. There is a little spot, as we said before, for the ironing board, and then a little ledge that we can put the bounce dryer sheets and a trash can for lint in. Now we're at my favorite part where we actually get to make everything look designy and pretty. The inside is beautiful. We don't have the budget to completely replace these bifold doors, so we went ahead and painted them, and then we're gonna add some nice cladding. So we are doing this one strip at a time because, again, these doors aren't perfect. So they do have slightly different measurements. So David will be doing the cutting and I'll be doing the nailing. Here's a quick little time lapse of how everything went. One thing that we did run into is, being that it is an old out of square house, by putting on the cladding we did run into a couple of hiccups where we couldn't actually close the door, so we did have to adjust. So if you look very closely at it, you can actually see the clad is just a smidge away from the wall. That way we can still open those bifold doors.
So we are on grueling day number 3 of this laundry closet makeover project. And we're really at the last part. All we have to do is just put on the door handles. And to do that, I have a laser guide set up here with a piece of the trim with a hole cut out directly in the middle. That way it'll let me know exactly where to put the hole. And just like that, we're all done.
All in all, 3 days of a project.
Yep.
Less than $200.
Yeah.
Let's show the reveal
right now. So that is all that we have for you in this week's video. And that wraps up our laundry closet makeover. We hope you'd enjoyed it. And as always, do us a favor, make sure that you like and subscribe. That way YouTube knows that you like us and they should too. And while you're at it, go ahead and click this video.
I think it turned out really great. I'm very happy with it. Now it's time to party.